So February is all done and it was a slow month. In today's video, I'm going to take you through why it was a slow month and whether or not we should really give that a lot of credence going forward. Let's get to it. So first things first, if this is your first market update with us, we start by looking backwards a little bit before we get into the meat of things with some visuals and charts for you. And then we get to prediction mode at the end, which obviously, again, nobody knows the future, but we have had some good success looking at the data to project what may be coming. So mortgage rates are actually down a bit, which is great. It's one of the first times in a while I can say that. 10-year treasury rate continues to go downwards, which is a good thing. That's the closest metric that we can look at when we're looking at what mortgage rates are doing. Inventory wise, we did go up about 10%, 9% really, over the month of February, which is normal. And we have ticked a little higher even in the month of March. We'll get into what we should expect in March toward the end. Days on market still very stable. Prices still very stable, increasing possibly with single family homes. We had some big ones sell in the month of February, some beachfront properties that definitely played a role in that 18% increase, but the numbers do not lie. And looking at the numbers where we were both last month and last year compared to now, mortgage rates, all things considered, are pretty darn close to those last two time periods. Inventory, same deal. We did go up since last month and we were down compared to last year by 7%. The thing that was most interesting to me about pulling these numbers together is that last row, the single family home sale to list price. So both years in February, we had about a 92 to 93% list to sale price ratio. What that means is whatever the asking price is, the average sale price compared to that average list price of the homes that actually sold, closed in February was 92 to 93%. That's not normal. Normally we're 95, 96, sometimes higher for single family homes. So February appears to be a pretty darn good month to close on these homes. It makes sense, right? A lot of these went under contract in December, some in January, some a little bit earlier. It was a slow time year. Mortgage rates were headed upwards. So some people secured some pretty good deals. New listings, which is one of the things that I think drives most of what's coming after this chart and most of what happens in the market here. We tied what we saw in last February. We had the same amount of new listings, but the thing that had me dig a little bit deeper, if we go back to this chart, right? At the end of last February, we had 249 active listings. End of this February, we had 231. So if we have the same number of new listings and we actually had less homes go under contract, which we'll see here, than we saw last February, why didn't inventory grow more? And why it didn't is because, and I'll explain this at the end in a little more detail, we had more homes get taken off the market and relisted, which is one way that agents and sellers use to reset their days on market. Instead of just dropping the price, they'll take it off the market, put it back up under a new MLS number with a new price, and it's a fresh new listing. It still gets captured in all these metrics. So again, lower than last year, but we did see just slightly less than last February. And if we combine January and February from last year compared to January and February this year, pending wise, we are only a few off, and new listings, we are only a few off. So all things considered, pretty similar start to the year compared to last year. Closed sales wise, again, we had a good month, pretty similar to what we've seen in past Februarys. Months of inventory for single family, starting that ramp back up that we saw last year as well. Will it continue? Time will tell. Median sale price for single families, again, taking another big clip up here because of the types of homes that did sell in the month of February. But I mean, looking at this chart, right, we had a very flat period here in 2023 that now almost appears to be an anomaly versus something that should have been expected. Outside of that, it's been a constant rise. A lot of that has to do with the amount of new construction homes that have sold, continue to sell. Days on market for single family is creeping back up. Now we're approaching 70, which is about where we were, 70 to 75 pre-COVID. So we are getting back to normal as far as that metric is concerned. And we'll flip over to condos slash duplexes slash whatever. It's any non-multifamily home. I get this question a lot. But it's a townhouse. How's it a condo? It's a duplex. It's one unit in duplex. How's it a condo? They all get lumped into this non-single family category. That's how we view them. It's the only way we can view them. So stable, consistently stable as far as that goes. Still a bit of a seller's market as far as that goes. And what we just saw with some of the new construction that went under contract just last week, very much still a seller's market in certain pockets. We have people competing for that new construction inventory, which is highly, highly priced, way above what it's been in the past, way above any of the resale inventory out there. So people want what they want, and that is continuing to make itself abundantly clear. And that's what continues to drive our market upwards. So median sale price wise, again, for condos, still heading upwards. Yes, we did have a lull in 2024 instead of 2023, like we saw with single families, but the market's still moving upwards. Will it continue? Time will tell. And we have a lot of chaos going on in the country and the world right now. We'll talk more about that at the end too. But days on market, still very, very good. Whether this ends up being a blip at 50 or if it heads back up towards 54, 55, where it's been, we're waiting on some of the homes that did sell to actually be marked sold. And once that happens, and I can update all this and we'll see where it goes. But I did want to put this out. I didn't want to wait for agents who are slacking to stop slacking. And I certainly am not going to babysit them either. So we make some adjustments, we make some estimates, and we move forward. But the speed here, and I talked in the mid-month video, that there aren't a ton of months recently that have been above 2. And that means we needed 2 new listings to see 1 sale. But we did in February, and we were pushing closer to 3, which is a very slow month. Now imagine, bear with me for a second, if we actually had fewer new listings, right? I mentioned we had more that delisted and relisted. That counts as a new listing. And if there are less new listings, this metric would actually be higher. So artificially lower speed than we should have seen. So it really was a slow month. We're going to see that carry forward in the 6 and the 12-month metrics here as well, where we're creeping back up towards 2, which is above where we were pre-COVID. Things were slower now than they were back then, which is a bit of a surprise. But all that aside, what does all of this mean? If you're looking to sell your house, if you're looking to buy your house, what's it mean for you? The fact that mortgage rates are coming down should be viewed as a good thing by buyers, but there's a reason that it's coming down, and that's because with tariffs being put into place, economic expectations and growth expectations are shrinking to the fact where I think it was the Atlanta Fed came out and adjusted their predictions down for the first quarter to actually go negative for our GDP to shrink. So if there's going to be economic pressures, what does that mean? It can mean a whole lot of things. And as much as it would be a great thing for mortgage rates to go down, we're continuing to see job losses and all sorts of different economic pressures that may hurt some buyers. It may hurt the buyer pool. From a seller standpoint, I would love to sit here and say, you know what, again, mortgage rates going down is a good thing. It should bring more buyers in. I think there's a chance that a lot of buyers end up sitting on the sideline for a while, at least the next month or two, because we have this deadline, I'll say, where people want to be in by Memorial Day, and they don't have to get in now, right? They have the ability to wait for a month or so to really see what some of these variables and some of these things that are up in the air, where they land. How's it going to impact them? Is their job going to be secure? Are mortgage rates going to come down even more? That's possible. So it's going to be interesting to see, especially in March, what exactly is going to happen. But inventory-wise, again, an increase is totally normal. We had a 10% growth throughout February last year. We had 9% growth this year, basically the same. But here's where I wanted to hit home, because again, the numbers didn't really add up for me. We should have seen a growth in inventory that was closer to what we saw last year in terms of sheer numbers, but we didn't, because that whole delist relist piece. So I had to go digging and look into this. And last year, from a single family home standpoint, there were 2 homes that were taken off and relisted in February of 2024, and there were 2 single family homes in 2025. So it was all in the condo sector, where we actually had 8 more homes this year than last year that were taken down and put back up in the same month to reset the price or reset the days on market. So if that didn't happen, we would have seen a 9% drop in new listings and 26% fewer homes going under contract. And based on our speed, that gets us to 18%, what we should have expected to see in a drop in pending sales. Because again, it sounds basic, but people can't buy what's not for sale. We as agents can't sell what's not for sale. And if we have fewer new listings, we have fewer properties that are coming, there are fewer things for people to buy. So new listings really is a big driver. That's why I focus so heavily on it. So if we had fewer new listings, yeah, we should have expected fewer homes to go under contract. And instead of that 26% that makes us go, oh gosh, right, is this the end of the world? Is the apocalypse coming? Really, if we should have seen an 18% drop, yeah, it was slightly worse than expected. But when we're talking about 8% of a number in the low to mid 30s, it's a few homes, right? That's nothing to panic about. So I'm not too worried here. And I feel like I've said this more times than I can possibly count. I really want to see how this month pans out. Because for every time that we've almost had a pattern changing month or had something that raised the hackles on my back, right? Put my ears up. Now, I've said this more times than I would care to admit, but I really need to see what happens this month. Every month that I can recall where we had a seemingly pattern changing month or moment or something that I really needed to follow through to see if it continued, if it was going to be consistent, it turned out to be a blip. So I'm not saying that this was a blip, but time will tell. I need to see another month, more data, more activity, more anecdotes, buyers and sellers alike. So we'll see what happens in March. I'll keep you posted on that. But price wise, another strong month. There's no reason that we should expect prices to have downward pressure. And I was just talking to a client yesterday. There are some pockets, especially the new construction duplexes, 4 bedroom, especially. The demand seems to way outstrip supply still. So we should actually expect prices in that sector to rise. There's not enough to go around. So it's going to be an interesting month in March. You're going to want to stick around and stay tuned. If you aren't already, make sure you subscribe because I'm coming with more information this month. If you have any questions, you need some help, you want to work together, all my information is this way. You can reach me any of those ways you see here. So thanks as always for hanging out. I'll see you next time.